Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Welcome back to the Qaswa podcast. We're now on week 4 of term 2, 2023. And today we discussed about charity and about purifying our hearts or shining our hearts. But before we dive into our topic today, we've got some interesting announcements to make.
So this coming Sunday next week, the 28th of May, is our second Qaswa family picnic for the year. So we really want to do all these social events so the families could get together and the parents especially get to know each other. Because a lot of the children have made friends at Qaswa, but the parents don't know each other. So we want parents to know each other and then get closer to each other, and you can plan outings or play dates or with other Muslim families. And we also just want the teachers as well to
get to know the parents,
and we get to catch up because when it's madrasa time, the teachers are very busy with the children. So during the picnics, it allows the teachers time to chat. So we really look forward to having the parents at the Qaswa family picnic. And this time, it's actually really interesting because we are working with the city of Canning.
So the city of Canning, they've got this program called the Climate Change Leadership Program, where they get students aged 10 to 17 years old. They get together, they run leadership activities, and included in the activities is kayaking. So from 10 to 2, they're going to run those programs, kayaking, some outdoor activities, and also they have to draft a proposal to the city of Canning on how to improve the environment conservation, and they're going to train the students to be agent of environmental health.
And I think that ties in really well with what we teach the children here at Qaswa.
The three
duties of a Muslim. So since they are young, since they're in pre-primary, we always teach them that there are 3 duties of a Muslim. The first one is to make ourselves good, and the second is to help others be good, and the third is to help make the environment clean and beautiful. And this ties in with the third one, and I think it's something really powerful for the children because they can see the impact going on.
Because if we look into the seerah of the Prophet, he was someone that was very concerned about the environment. You see, even in our Sharia, for instance, when you go to Hajj, you're not allowed to just pluck any tree, not even a leaf for no reason. When the army was marching to war, the Prophet told his army, he said that do not harm any plants. So that concern for the environment, and at a time when people didn't understand the impact that humans would have towards the environment, the Prophet told Sayyidina Mu'adh not to waste water when doing wudu. And Sayyidina Mu'adh was doing wudu in the river, and he said, "Afil wudu is saraf, that I'm doing wudu. Is there wastage in wudu?" And the Prophet said, "Naam, wa in kunta ala naharin jarin." Yes, even if you're making wudu in a flowing river, that at those days, 1400 years ago, people didn't really understand or didn't foresee that humanity could leave a great impact or harm the environment. The environment was just too massive for human to harm. Yet the Prophet already told us, be kind to environment, even if you think that it's not going to impact you. So that's one of the reasons why when City of Canning contacted me, I was like, yes, we are on board. And I told them about the 3 duties of a Muslim and how we teach at Qaswa, and they were like, that's in line with what they're doing.
But for the other families that don't have children in the program, you're definitely most welcome to come, and we'll have a picnic. The Canning Eco River is a beautiful place. We can enjoy ourselves together. You can bring some games and things like that, and some food. And it's always lovely to have a Muslim gathering.
I think, like I said, that it's important that we all get to know each other. As the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child. We don't have a proper village, so this is what we're trying to do. Especially if your children go to public school, you are shaped by your environment. You are shaped by your close friends, your closest friends. Our daughters go to public school, so we're not saying that you should not send your children to public school, but it is important that you be more proactive in making sure that our children have good Muslim friends around them, that they can do sleepovers together. Later on, they want to go outings, they want to go to the park, they want to go to the mall. You know that you trust these families, they share the same moral values, and you can lean onto each other. So we try and do this program every
once a term.
Once a term. So term 1 was the beach safe program. So term 2 will be this Canning Eco River, and term 3, inshallah, we'll announce soon. And every alternate months, we'll try and do the Maulid in the park, where we get together at the park, we read the seerah of the Prophet, poetry and praising the Prophet. We read one hadith of the Prophet, and then children get to play and get to know each other at the park. So all these activities, it's not, I think part of being in the Qaswa family. It's not just about the madrasa. It's also all these other activities surrounding and supporting our children's Islamic education.
Yes.
Yeah. So the leadership, the climate change leadership program is already fully booked. We were offered only 25 spaces, and I told the organizer, I said, we've got at least 100 students in that age group. We said they can only cater for 25 students. So we'll see, inshallah, if it's a success, and maybe we can ask for more programs in the future.
Inshallah.
All right. Okay. So that's our introduction for today. Let's get into our topic of discussion for week 4. We're continuing from last week's discussion. Last week was about charity and how charity purify our hearts. Today, the notes between the younger students, year 3 and younger, year 4 and older, are different. We separated the notes just because I don't think that it was important for the younger children to know more about zakat beyond what we taught last week. That's about as much as they need to know. But with the bigger kids, they need to know a bit more detail. Now, I think the topic of today's lesson with your students is about the journey to a happy heart. So what did you discuss about?
So today the children learned quite a few of new terminologies.
Yes.
So often with the pre-primary year ones, these concepts are still very new to them.
Yep.
So they first, they learn the qalb, so the heart, and then I always tell them that we've got 2 hearts.
Yep.
We have the physical heart and we have our spiritual heart.
Yep.
So I tell them the physical heart is the size of your fist. It lives in your body. And that heart is the one that pumps blood. It makes you alive. And they were always I always tell them, how do you feel your heart? Can you feel it go? Dup, 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 dup?
Yeah.
And then I talk to them about the spiritual heart that also sits in your physical heart, but that heart is invisible.
Yep.
Yeah. And that is the heart that shines, or that is the heart that gets dirty. Yeah. So they've known that, because since term 1, when they come in, we've always talked about the heart.
I think that shining the heart is a underlining theme that will happen throughout. Yeah.
So, but today was the first time they were learning about ruh and nafs.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's the new terminology that they are learning. So it will take them a good few weeks to get their head around this concept. So we talked about the ruh being the one that is good, that wants to listen to what Allah teaches, that's always inspired by the angels, by malaika. And then, to always want good, want goodness. And we talk about the nafs, who is more self-centered, right? Who the nafs who wants things now and who wants things for themselves, and who is more greedy and self-centered in nature. So we talked about those 2 different ones, and we gave them an example. So I talked to them about chocolate. So I asked them to imagine their most favorite chocolate.
What's the most favorite chocolate among your students?
It has to be milk chocolate. Freddos were very popular.
All right, okay.
Yeah, Freddos were quite popular. So I said, imagine you have a really big a really big serve of your favorite chocolate in your hand, right? So your nafs will tell you that this is mine. I'm going to eat it all. This is only mine, right? I'm not going to give it to anyone else. I'm going to have it all for myself, right? But the qalb will go, will go like
The ruh.
the ruh will go that no, I need the ruh will go. It is very good to share. It is not healthy to eat so much of this. Allah loves it if I share this around. You know, one pack of Freddos, I've got 15. It'll be really good if I give one each to my classmates instead of holding it all to myself. And the qalb, the heart, is where this takes place.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the battle.
This is the invisible battle that happens. Yeah.
That happens. So they actually really got that concept. So then I gave them a bit more examples, like going because like they really need to have that practical thing in their mind. So examples that they could relate to, like for example, going to the shops with their parents and wanting that particular toy, and their parents says no, you've got to wait. Maybe after you have practiced your Qur'an for 5 days, then I'll buy you that toy. And then, you know, the ruh will say, okay, I'll listen to mom and wait and be patient. But the nafs will go throwing a tantrum. Like, I want it now. I want it now. And, you know, being rude to your parents. So they really got that concept. And I think it's really good for parents to remind them.
And I think at the end of the day, when it comes to children, and we're talking about this happy heart, the heart will always be happier when it listens to the ruh in the long run. In the short term, they will be happier with the nafs. Like with that Freddo. If they eat the entire 15, it will be, man, that is awesome. But it's just then, temporary. Because immediately after that, they'll feel tummy ache and they'll feel they can't sleep because they're sugar high. They start misbehaving and they get scolded by their parents and so on. So it is important that we talk to the children that when it comes to the choice between following the ruh or following the nafs always gives you that immediate gratification. But long-term happiness is always from listening to the ruh.
So that was good that they got that concept, which was really nice. And then we talked about the three steps
to purify the heart.
The heart. So we talked about.
So did you use the original, the real term, or?
No, so we use the tidying up. Let's say giving an example, like, you know, you first have to clean your heart, right? To tidy your heart. So we give them an example of a room. So if your room is messy, like, you know, you have things on the floor, toys, clothes, everything's thrown on the floor. What do you need to do? So you need to clean it up. You need to pick up your toys, put it where it is. You need to pick up your clothes, hang it up. You need to throw rubbish in the bin. So those kind of things. And then, so I said the same with your heart. So if your heart has got a lot of like black spots, you call them, a lot of things that are not very good that you do, you first need to try and remove it. Right? So if it's something not nice that if you've done with a person, you first apologize and you try to fix it, and then you try and clean it first, and then you have to maintain it. So again, if your room is already clean, how do you make sure it doesn't get dirty again? What do you need to do? So they could say that, oh, I need to take out one toy only and play with one and then keep it back. So exactly, you need to always do good, right? You always need to tidy up. So the same with maintaining a clean heart. You always need to keep doing the good thing over and over and over again. So we gave the example of wudu. Like, you know, so if you take wudu once a month, it's not the same as the heart. The shine is not the same as the heart of a person who takes wudu a few times a day. Yeah. So we went through that that maintenance. Of the heart, which was I think they really liked it. They got it. But this week, what the children also really enjoyed was the craft. So we made a heart, and we sticked a lot of sparkly bits, all the different kinds of shiny things. And I think that served as a reminder to them that you need to do a lot of good to maintain the shiny heart. So they put in a lot of small little shiny mosaics. into it. So you can have a look at your children's craft, I think.
So I think this year we switched it a little bit. Usually, even with the younger kids, we teach them the Arabic term, which in classical Islamic tazkiyah, purification of the soul, it's called the takhalli, tahalli, and tajalli. We thought that based on previous year's teaching, it's hard for students they need to remember the term and then remember the concept, the meaning of it. So we just switched it over to English. Takhalli becomes tidy up. Tahalli becomes time to smile, because takhalli is cleaning your heart. Tahalli is beautifying your heart with good traits. So that's time to smile. And then tajalli is time twinkle and glow. Because tajalli means those good habits are already part of you, and people around you are enjoying the benefits of your kindness, of your good akhlaq. This is when you're twinkling and glowing.
So one thing that we added, so like, that enjoyment of other people when you have good manners. So we also talked about secret charity.
Yes.
So I told the children about, if you do good in secrecy, that people don't know that you did it. Allah really likes it when you do charity, when you do something and you don't mention it. Yeah. So for younger children, it's always practical things around the house. So it's like, so if you see, let's say, the cushions in the hall is a bit messy, it's strewn down, you pick it up and arrange it nicely on the sofa. You don't let people know that you do it. Your mom comes to the house, it's already clean. She doesn't have to do it. That's charity.
Those are the best kinds of charity.
So like quietly you take some water and water the plants, and it's already done. You give birds some water. So all those like kind of things that you do, that you see that the carpet is a bit messy and you put it nicely without being told, and don't mention it. So those are like secret charities. The children got quite excited.
So let's see what they come up with next week. I think we used to have this program, Random Act of Kindness. Maybe we need to bring that back at Qaswa. Interesting.
So how are the older children today?
So with the year 4 and above, we discussed about we continue the discussion about Zakat. And one of the important concepts that we want to introduce to students is definitions. That before we embark on a discussion, we need to define things. Because sometimes people get into disagreement, and then because they didn't define the words correctly. I'm talking about something else, you're talking about something else. We use the same word but different meanings. And you will not get anywhere. So we introduce this concept, and you will see this within Islamic studies. Even like Imam al-Bajuri in his Aqidah book, he said that first of all you need to know the had, the definition, the mawdu', the topic of the discussion, so that our discussion is always focused. We don't waste time. And definition will always be divided into literal, lughatan wa istilahan, literal and technical. The literal is the dictionary meaning, the most common meaning that we use, and the technical meaning is going to change from science to science or from field to field. Zakat, the literal meaning is purification. It's not charity. But the technical meaning is that mandatory charity that every Muslims have to give when they fulfill the criteria, certain conditions in terms of wealth ownership and so on. You have to give a certain amount. So combining these two meanings, we understand that zakat is purifying charity. And we spoke a bit about what does it mean? What does purifying charity mean? It means that you're purifying part of your wealth. Because Allah gives us our wealth, but from all that He has given us, a small portion of it actually doesn't belong to us. It belongs to someone else. We are just the conduit to transfer it to the right recipients. Then the question is like, why must Allah do that? Why can't Allah just give directly to those people that need it? We tie it back to our discussion last week about why are some people rich and some people poor. The fact that there is that imbalance in the society allows society to progress, to move. Because if everybody is equal, and this is what we see the failure of communism, everybody is equally rich, everybody is equally poor, the society will collapse. If everybody gets the same mark, whether you study or you don't, everybody will get a C, for instance, no one will bother to study. And we see there was an experiment, an economy professor did an experiment with his students. He said that what we're going to do is everybody in class will get the same mark. I will take the highest, I'll take the lowest, and I'll take the average, and everybody will get that average. So initially, he saw that the score was as usual. The A students, you get that bell curve. The good students, and then most of them will be in the middle, and then the bad students at the back, just a few. That was the first test. When the smart students saw that their marks got deducted, they stopped studying. And the average student also like, what? What's the point? Over time, towards the end of the term, he saw that now everybody is failing. Now the average kept getting lower and lower and lower. It came to the point that nobody wanted to attend class anymore. What's the point of learning? So when you have absolute equality, it is, when it comes to spiritual equality between you and Allah, yes, it's important. But when it comes to the organization of society, absolute equality would make the society collapse. So Allah giving some more to others, less to others, and then within our wealth there are some that belong to other people. That means it makes society move. So now we have to learn to live with each other. That the rich will have to care for the poor, and the poor will be patient, and the poor will serve the community in things that maybe the rich don't want to do. But that way, the society will get to progress.
And then that's again the test of sabr and shukr.
The test of sabr and shukr. It's in the eyes of Allah, it's equal. Whether it's wealth or poverty, it's equal. It's all means for us to get to Jannah. So we say that by giving zakat, you're purifying your wealth, but beyond that, you're also purifying your heart. If you understand and you do zakat and any charity properly, it's one of the most powerful way for us to purify our hearts. Before we speak about how it purifies our heart, then the next discussion was, why is it important for us to purify our heart? So we spoke about how the Prophet said that the heart is the king. If it's good, everything else will be good. And how Allah said that successful people are those that purify their hearts. And invitation to Jannah depends on purification of the heart. Allah says, Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutmainnah, those who possess the calm nafs, the calm soul that has been tamed, Allah says, Fadkhuli fi ibadi wadkhuli jannati, enter into be among my servants and enter into my Jannah. So success in this world and the hereafter depends on our purification of the heart. So we then discussed the inner dimensions of charity, because last week we stopped at what to give and who to give. Now it's more on the inner dimension. And we shared a story about Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab, our second Khalifa. When he was the Khalifa, one of his practice was he would walk at night alone to observe the state of his people. And one night he was walking and he heard children crying. He went to that house. She saw a lady cooking a rock in a pot. And she asked this lady, why are you cooking rock? The lady said, we're just so poor, we don't have anything to eat, and the children are crying out of hunger, they can't sleep. I'm hoping that while I'm pretending to cook, I'm stirring, the children will go to sleep out of tiredness of waiting for me to complete cooking. Umar was so touched that he rushed back home. He carried a sack of food and brought it back to the family and fed the family. And he then asked the lady, why didn't you make the Khalifa know about this? The lady just said that the Khalifa is too busy. He wouldn't have time to look after me. And Umar then just made it a point to continue with that practice, make sure that people are well looked after. But from this story, we learn a few important lessons about the inner dimension of charity. First and foremost, it's like what you said just now, that secret charity. Keep it private, keep it secret between you and Allah. The Prophet said that the best charity is the one that is given with the right hand and the left hand doesn't know about it. Don't publicize your act of charity. The Qur'an tells us, in tubdu sadaqati fa ni'mahi. If you were to make it public, then it is okay. But wa in tukhfuha, but if you were to hide it, make it private, wa tu'tuha al-fuqara, and give it to the poor, that is better for you, and it will purify your heart. So there are circumstances, situations where it is good to give charity publicly. You encourage
Which is
others,
for role modeling.
role modeling. But it is important that we do more charity privately. Let's say you give $100 publicly. Make sure you give more privately. Make sure, let's say you people see you cleaning up the house, the hall publicly. Do it privately. Do it more times. Do it more often. Make sure that you keep your charity as private as possible. And we see this in Umar ibn Khattab. He did it at night. His workers. He was the Khalifa, the leader of the nation. And at this time, we have to remember that Umar ibn Khattab was probably the most powerful man on earth, because during his reign, Muslims ruled, defeated the Sassanid Empire, and also defeated
the jewels of the Roman.
The jewels of the Roman, Damascus, Jerusalem fell under the Muslim hand. So the two largest empire were just defeated by the Muslims. This man, being the most powerful man on earth, yet he went personally. He checked the status of his people, and he personally carried a sack of food to feed to these poor people. And when he gave it, he did not make a big fuss out of it. When the lady told him, basically told the Khalifa in front of the Khalifa himself, Khalifa is too busy. He did not retaliate. He did not say, do you know who you're talking to? I'm the Khalifa. I gave you food. Should be thankful. No, he did not. He just forget about it. He gave. Reward comes from Allah. And this is a description of the believer that Allah mentioned in the Qur'an. Allah says, when إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ. Indeed, we feed you for the pleasure of Allah. لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا. We don't expect anything. No reward, not even thank you. So this is exemplified by Umar ibn Khattab. And thirdly, do not insult the recipient. Do not make the recipient feel any less than you for receiving the charity. And we have to change our mindset that when we help others, we're giving charity, we're actually benefiting more than the recipient. Because Allah promised every good deed will be multiplied by 10. But with charity, Allah said that it can go up as high as 700. مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل حبة. The parable of someone who gives charity in the path of Allah, كمثل حبة. It's like someone who plants a seed, and from this one seed, سبع سنابل في كل سنبلة مئة حبة. 7 branches grow, and from each branch you have 100 more seeds. So you plant one seed, you get back 700. You give $1, you get back $700. That means you're getting more than what you're giving. That person receiving only gets $1. And $1, how long does it last today? Let's say you give a person $100 in charity. In 3 days, that money is gone. He buys food, he buys this and that. Your reward from Allah will be $7,000 times 700. $7,000. And that reward with Allah will remain forever. So you are the one benefiting. We should be thankful to those. We have somebody to give charity to, that we have the opportunity.
And I think this is where it's quite important to actually teach children this concept.
Yes.
And the children, the middle childhood, especially, they love doing this maths. And we give them, like 1 to 700. Now think about 700 on Laylatul Qadr. How much it becomes. It's just like, not that we're being calculative to Allah, but we want the children to realize that it's such benefit that they get. And also, like, for us in Australia, I think sometimes it's hard for the children to actually see someone who's poor, and I think the closest we get here is like people who are homeless. And make it a point to have some, cash, especially if you have young children, to actually then give it to them, for them to give it to the homeless person who's begging for money. So at least they get some practice.
Or you also have those homeless runs or dinners that feed the homeless and poor people. I think City of Canning has one every Wednesday, and our cafe tries to participate at least once a month, and we'll go and bring some food. You get to see people from various backgrounds. Bring your children, eat dinner with everyone there, eat dinner with the community. That will be a good practice. And we spoke also about the invisible battle. It's just that the same concept about the ruh, about the nafs battling each other, and between this battle, our aqal, our intellect, becomes the judge. And that's why it's important that we feed our intellect with the right kind of knowledge so it can make the right decision in the battle. We gave an example about studying. You got an exam coming, to study or to play games or watch Netflix. That dilemma happens. But so that's which the Ruh will always tell you that Ruh loves knowledge, tell you to study. The Nafs loves entertainment, tells you to play games. Which one do you follow? The mind, the intellect, will be the decision maker in this. We also spoke about one of the beauty of the religion of Islam is that it recognizes the nafs. Nafs is not evil. Nafs has potential to be evil, but it is not evil per se. If we only have the ruh, and we only feed the ruh and we ignore the nafs, we will die, we will perish, because the ruh feeds on good deeds, on dhikr, on Qur'an, on salah, on learning. But we need food. The motivation to eat food, those appetite, comes from the nafs. But Islam tells us we need to control the nafs. It shouldn't be the nafs controlling us. And this is why we have Ramadan. We fasted Ramadan, you have food. Instead of the nafs controlling us, eat whatever we feel like eating, we tell ourselves, no, I am in control. You don't get to eat until a certain time. When Allah tells us we can eat, we eat. So that training of the nafs is really important, because when we look into some other spiritual tradition, there are spiritual traditions that actually tries to kill the nafs altogether, denies the rights of the nafs. No good food, you shouldn't get married, anything that is nice has to be sinful. Islam recognizes that
to have
that balance. Good food is ni'mah, rizq from Allah. But good food that you are greedy about, you refuse to share with others, that becomes a problem. A family, that's a beautiful thing. You get married and all, that's a good thing. But having girlfriends and boyfriends and so on without relationship responsibility, now that is bad. So the nafs wants those things. Islam guides, saying that okay, this is how a healthy, wholesome way to feed the nafs. And that is why also in the ayah that we recited just now in Surah Al-Fajr, Allah invites people to Jannah. Allah says, Ya ayyatuha nafsul mutma'innah. The nafs that is mutma'innah, this nafs that is calm. And in the next few weeks, we'll explore the different types of nafs so that we can understand that those whispers that comes in our hearts, that we hear in our heart, is that from which angle is that? Is that nafsul mutma'innah? Is that nafsul lawama? Is that nafsul mulhama? All those different types of nafs. We're going to discuss about that in the coming weeks, inshallah. So we also ended with this random act of kindness, because we spoke about the importance of purifying our hearts through charity, keeping it secret. We encourage students to think of random act of kindness. They can start doing at home. They can start doing at school. And we then spoke about the three T's to purifying. Instead of using tidying up, time to smile, twinkle, we use the Arabic term takhalli, tahalli, and tajalli. These are just terms that we introduce: cleaning, beautifying, manifesting. But we will look into how to utilize this starting next week. How do you use takhalli, tahalli, and tajalli to purify our heart? And by purifying our heart, we hope that Allah will invite us to enter into His Jannah. Yeah. So that's what we did with the bigger kids today.
It'll be good to also, I think, for parents to kind of read through
the notes.
The notes are always up on Class Dojo. And I think if you explain and have a conversation with the children, I think it's nice for the family to then think of maybe a little project, kindness that you want to do together. Yeah.
All right, that's all for today. Inshallah, we'll see you next week at the madrasa
and
the picnic, or maybe we'll see you tomorrow at the cafe. Thank you very much for listening. Assalamu alaikum.